helpful tips to conference call board meetings.
Good afternoon. Just remember, choose a quiet location to make your call. Avoid background noises such as side conversations, shuffling of papers, pet noises, and coughing. Remember to turn off the sound notification ringer on your computer or telephone. Press the mute button on your phone when you're not speaking, but remember to unmute when speaking. Identify yourself when speaking or making a motion, and most importantly, do not place the call on hold, otherwise we will hear some lovely hold music or ads. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lynn. Well, we'll call the meeting to order, and I'd ask everybody, wherever they may be, to stand up and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America,
Republic, for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lynn, if you wouldn't mind doing a roll call.
Trustee Davis?
Present.
Trustee Doherty?
Here.
Trustee Dye?
Here.
Trustee Freckleton?
Here.
Trustee Haas?
Here.
Trustee Holness?
Here.
Trustee Howard?
Here.
Trustee Lloyd?
Here.
Trustee LeBye?
Here.
Thank you.
Any public participation today?
We have no requests.
That will move to the consent agenda. If I could get a motion.
So moved. Bob Davis.
Second, Randy Dye.
Any discussion or questions on any of the items? All those in favor?
Bob Davis, aye.
Right,
Aye.
roll call. Trustee Davis, we'll do a roll call.
Bob Davis, aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
Trustee Howard, aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee LeBride?
Aye.
This agenda passes. Dr. Labasa, over to you.
Thank you. Just before I start, I'd like to just take a pause and ask for a moment of silence so that we can reflect and give some thought to the tumultuous times we have been under as a nation, and to ask ourselves in our respective roles how we can help make positive impacts on all the issues surrounding what we are dealing with today. So if we can take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Again, thank you, everyone, for being available today, and again, trying to navigate our work in this new world. Some of the updates and kind of regarding the reflection. Just to update you, I was on a statewide call with college presidents where the chancellor is calling for a statewide president's equity committee with some subgroups. So I volunteered to participate with that, and they're waiting to see if I'm selected to serve. And there will be an overall committee and then some subcommittees. So I volunteered for both. One of the things in our role as a college here at Daytona State, many of us in the system, is that we do offer law enforcement academies. So I expressed particular interest in that subgroup. And that was, I think, the only one really articulated in that call. And there may be some others as well. that form. So I will continue to update you on that. In addition to, I've asked Lynn to get a meeting together with our own law enforcement academy leadership to start talk and begin to look at our program and things that we're doing and engage our community and law enforcement as we continue to try to provide the best training possible out of our law enforcement academies. And I also accepted an invitation from Mayor Henry to serve on a committee here in Daytona Beach as well. So I will continue to update the board on the progress and work in that area. And transitioning on now, we are still moving forward in our phase-in program. Things are going well. We had requested about 50% of our staff to be on campus at this point, and still allowing for flexibility and the ability to rotate staff, and that's going well. We also began, very nice to see, we began taking appointments this week, and we have, so it's been nice to see campus tours happening, admissions, advising appointments, and academic advising and student financial aid and things like that. So, and everyone's been, as far as complying with our safety protocols, we've had, no issues per se. I actually happened to walk by admissions today, and there was a family, and one of the members didn't have a mask, and I, politely said that, we have a facial covering policy, and that we could provide you with a mask. And they said, oh, I can go out and get one. They apologized. Said, no, we have one for you. So we gave it to them, no problem, So, people will come in and forget from time to time, and we will offer them those, the masks if they forget it. So, again, all in all, it's transitioning well. And we had, I wanted to highlight in the report, and I believe that was it was in the consent agenda, the SREF findings. Shout out to Trustee Freckleton, who has been the eagle eye on this particular report. If you can see, we made quite a bit of improvement on the types of things that were picked up the previous year compared to this year. So hats off to Chris Wainwright and his team to have a really good report. We also, regarding we had a financial aid and federal financial audit entrance. Dr. Howard, thank you for attending that, and that's part of that cycle of audits, and so we are getting prepared for that. Had a meeting with the senior academic leadership in the Husseini Center, I guess a week or so ago, 2 weeks maybe now, and we are, working feverishly on the plan for fall, and in the communication that will go out either today or tomorrow, it talks a little bit about the kind of overarching plan, and they're working on the details, and I think, as I've mentioned, we're looking at a hybrid type conversion of our face-to-face classes wherever possible. And so that planning is going really well, and we're in the process of identifying classes that would meet the standard of 6 feet of distance between the students, and again, with safety protocols like wearing masks and things like that, and looking at, we purchased some shields so that faculty could wear a shield and in place of a mask, plus the distance to help them in lecturing, because it could be a little cumbersome with the mask for long periods of time. So we're looking at that option as well. So moving along, a lot of what ifs in the planning process. I'm sure you're all experiencing that in your own either personal life or business life as you move on to day for day. Had a meeting yesterday with Halifax regarding our return of athletes to campus. We haven't gotten the official word. There's a meeting on Friday, and then a national meeting Friday, and then a state meeting on Monday. But we are, we're planning so that we don't, my mantra has been plan. So we're planning as if we are going to be able to bring them back, and we think that will be what happens. So we've been planning and had a meeting regarding bringing our athletes back and testing. So our plan will be finalized, but it does include, the testing of the athletes as they come back. And why the athletes? Well, those are, as you know, are the ones that we do house, a good number of them. And then by the nature of the sport, they will also be in close contact with each other regularly. And so as well as the staff and coaches will be part of that testing. So we have some protocols and the what-ifs scenarios laid out, and feel pretty good about the plan. And again, we're working with Halifax on that project. So back to the agenda. So the first item is the recommendation for the board to approve, as it says, some or all of the components for the financial agency plan. Again, just to reiterate, these are the plans that we are looking at, not knowing, as we've discussed, what the budget may look like between enrollment impact and as you saw on the paper, state budget implications. So we, are looking at a variety of different scenarios. We would come back with detail if we needed to implement any part or all of it to you all at a subsequent board meeting. So this just covers what the plan would, the different parts of the plan that would potentially come back if needed. And obviously we've done a lot of things to try to minimize impact. As you can see, our budget is balanced, and so we are, we've held positions like many organizations. We are looking when vacancies happen, how we can reallocate staff that perhaps their job is not quite the same at the moment. So doing a lot of good work to bring the budget in balanced without having to exercise any of these plans at this point. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, Bob Davis, to approve the emergency management plan.
Trustee
Lloyd
Holden,
seconds.
second.
Second, any questions or conversation? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Guy?
Aye.
Ruckelston?
Aye.
Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holden?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Levi?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. So our next item is the salary administration plan, which we bring to you each year, and as we have reviewed individually. So I would entertain a motion.
A motion?
Bob
Trustee
Davis
Holden,
makes
I'm
Go ahead, Denny.
Holden has moved. Do I have a second?
Bob Davis.
Davis, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Guy?
Aye.
Ruckelston?
Aye.
Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holman?
aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Levi?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, the next item is the annual equity report. But before I ask for the motion, I'm going to ask Lonnie Thompson to give you all a presentation. and I believe this has been sent to you all.
Yes.
Yeah, so you should have it in your email to review now, or he'll verbally go over it, so you'll have it there to review at a later date if you don't have it in front of you. So with that, Lonnie?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, now, yes.
I'm going to go over the purpose of this report since we have some new board members, and it's basically to provide an annual report of the college's efforts to comply with federal and state statutes that relate to non-discrimination and equal access to post-secondary education and employment. The description of the plan, each section of the plan was prepared by an assigned Daytona State administrator. It's usually a VP or an AVP over those particular divisions. The participating administrators are responsible for their sections of the report, and those sections are related to their job function or their division function. The report is reviewed by the president and the executive staff, then submitted to the board of trustees for approval. Our policy and procedures that pertain to this, the college's policies and procedures meet or exceed state and federal equity requirements. We have procedures and policies for non-discrimination, employment, access, Title IX protections, equity in athletics, veteran affairs, and training. Now I'd like to go over our enrollment rates and how the college's outlook states how the college's outlook is as far as enrollment rates are concerned. Daytona State College experienced a slight decline in FTIC and overall enrollment. Some of that is due to dispersion. Some of that is due to the economy was picking up for a while and students were going back to work. There were a number of issues at hand there. However, FTIC numbers for Black students increased. Black overall enrollment remained flat within 0.5% of last year's numbers. The data suggests that the college's minority recruitment efforts are taking effect. FTIC and overall enrollment numbers for Hispanic students increased, partially due to the population growth in Western Volusia County, and we've taken measures to recognize this growth and serve and respond to that growth as well. And again, please note that some of these rates are due to dispersion. So when one category gets larger, another category will decrease. Student completion rates. The college's efforts to increase graduation rates throughout various categories show promise. Black male completion rates decreased slightly in the AA degree category. However, there were, in some cases, dramatic increases in the AS certificate and baccalaureate categories. Black female completion rates remain constant or increased in all categories. And again, all Hispanic completion rates increased in all categories. We have some recruitment and retention initiatives that we have in place, and we're really focusing on these initiatives to try to, again, increase not only Black and Hispanic recruitment and retention rates, but for recruitment and retention rates for all underserved students. We have retention specialists and a minority recruitment specialist in place. We have institutional focus and commitment activities that we utilize to ensure that we are monitoring these populations. We have guided pathways to completion. We have mentoring programs, student engagement. We have on time 2 and 3, which basically dictates the tenure of the student and how long it takes this student to complete based on that student's program. And we've initiated early financial aid awarding so that students can make better decisions because they have monetary resources in place and they can plan further out. Now, we also have events and activities, and these are more sort of, this is the softer side of our initiatives. These are some of the events and activities that we participated in this year or during the reporting year. We have the Volusia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Job and Career Fairs. We have the Daytona Beach Juneteenth Festival. We were out there in tents and interacting with the community. We attended the Take Stock in Children College Expo. We've been involved with the Men's Health Expo at the Daytona Beach Police Department. We have monthly visits to the PACE Center for Girls, and we provide them with resources and information about our institution. We do community on-site admissions visits to places like the Bethune Grill, Placida Supermarket, and Hope Place. We also do weekly emails and phone calls to all newly submitted applicants from underrepresented populations. Now, on the retention side, our events and activities include orientation for our MOSI cohort. For those of you who may not know, MOSI is our Men of Character Initiative. It is a group or a program for, it was initiated for young African-American males, but it is extended to all males, and we also have a few females who are involved in MOSI as well. We have a meet and greet for MOSI cohort students and staff members. We've paired faculty and staff members with MOSI cohort students, so they act as mentors for these students. We've collaborated with faculty, staff mentors for student check-ins. Student check-ins are basically where the student will contact their mentor, and they may discuss anything from academics to limited personal issues or financial issues, anything that might affect the student and that student's either retention or academic pursuits. Also, we've conducted fall study hall sessions, and we include tutorial assistance with that, so they're not just sitting in there looking around. You know, we have individuals from the ASC and the tutors, and those individuals have been very helpful and very collaborative. So kudos to the ASC staff. We've responded to early alerts to provide intervention when needed. For those of you who may not be familiar with our early alert process, it's a process that lets us know when the student is not doing well in the course. The faculty member updates the process, or they update the software, and it'll tell us where the student is grade-wise, and we try to intervene before.
I thought I had it cut off.
We monitor service indicators, which prompt students to meet with an advisor prior to dropping or withdrawing from courses. We just want to make sure that if they drop or they withdraw, they're sure about what they're doing and they know how it affects their progress. We provided MOSI scholarships with books and supplies and relief materials. We escorted students to the Black, Brown, and College Bound Summit in Tampa, and they get an opportunity to interact with other Black, Brown, and College Bound males from across the state, and some, come from other states as well. They get to meet prominent members of particular communities and national celebrities and politicians, and they make a number of connections that are very important to them at this point in their lives. We also distribute DSC info guides. We provide telephone, email, and social media resources, and we provide students with information and advocacy when necessary. There are other aspects to equity as well. One is STEM, and we have a number of STEM programs. We have a very inclusive and rigorous learning community for STEM participants. Particularly, we've been focusing on young ladies and underrepresented students in STEM fields. These programs have been ongoing for about 9 years, and these programs have benefited minority students who are pursuing careers in STEM fields quite a bit. Core substitutions, these substitutions are given to students with disabilities or impairments. These substitutions assist them with matriculating through programs, and all core substitutions for the reporting year were granted. Athletics, we are in compliance as far as Title IX and athletics is concerned with staffs, sports offerings, facilities, scholarships, scheduling, and resources. Kudos to Will Dunn and his staff. Employment, we are also in compliance with U.S. Department of Labor and EEOC hiring requirements in all categories. And you can see the categories there, executive and managerial, full-time faculty, and continuing contract faculty. At this time, that's all I have for this particular report. Do you have any questions?
All right.
Board members, an important topic, great material. Questions from the board?
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, Bob.
No, I was going to make a motion to accept this report, but if you have a question.
No, I just wanted to thank him for that comprehensive report. I know that at our college we celebrate diversity, and so for our new members, I just wanted to make sure that they were aware of all the different types of activities that we provide for our students and our faculty. So I will second your motion.
We have a motion and a second. Still happy to entertain any questions or comments. You feel like mine is
Gary Levi.
Yep. Yes, the college has supported equity, diversity, and particularly on the front of student access and student resources greatly. So,
okay, Trustee Levi, I think I heard you.
Yeah, a comment and a question. Comment, Lonnie, again, great job. As Betty just said, I think he put together a very comprehensive report. Also, it was very encouraging to see some of the areas that we were improving on relative to what we may have discussed, say, a year, 2, 3 years ago. You can see the progress that's being made and the effort being put in. I was just wondering one thought that I know we had talked about before, and I believe you have been doing it, but I didn't see it on here, and that is reaching out to predominantly African-American churches and church leaders and so forth. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing there as well?
Yes, we recently had that discussion, and we reached out to interfaith organizations. We have had certain religious representatives on campus, and we reach out to a number of Black churches and a number of Black organizations at the Juneteenth Festival. We attend the NAACP event every year. We also have been involved with a number of community events as well. So yes, we are reaching out. We're going to increase those efforts, and we're going to really focus a lot on community outreach due to the fact that we've had some community concerns across the nation. So we think it's in our best interest to try to physically get out. And as President Labasso stated, he's on a couple of committees as well.
Yeah, I think you're also doing that also with the Flagler churches as well, correct?
Yes, actually, Jim Marandino has reached out to a number of organizations and religious faith-based organizations in Flagler.
In contact with Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and he's done a real good job of following up with them as well. So thank you again, Lonnie, for everything you're doing.
You're very welcome.
Chairman Howard, just a second, if you don't mind a comment. There's a lot as a new board member to try to grasp and get your head around. And I can tell you that even though these are long meetings and a lot being discussed, I end up being encouraged, really enthusiastic about some of the things that we get informed of. And I appreciate, Lonnie, so much how thorough this report was. And it gives me a lot of confidence to be able to be in our community and understand how important this piece is to the overall picture of Daytona State College. So well done, and it's exciting actually to be a part of an organization that thinks like this. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Guy?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Hott?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Mr. Pat? Thank you.
Okay, I'll take this for Chris, but if anyone has any questions, Steve is here. And this is,
We're doing Brian next.
we're doing Brian next. Thanks, Lynn, for keeping me straight.
You're welcome.
The first item on the agenda for this time is the real property license agreement with the Brown Riverfront Esplanade Foundation. We previously, you approved the easement agreement, and this gets us to the next stage. It'll be a 10-year agreement with 4 10-year options. And after the first 10 years, then either party can terminate with 90 days notice. This will allow the use and access for landscaping by the Brown Riverfront Foundation. It is limited for that purpose. There are a couple of issues that are addressed in the appendix to it regarding things like the lift stations will be added. A lot of this will be addressed once the foundation bids out the landscape maintenance agreement, and we will have the option to join that, and they will prorate the amount of money that it costs to maintain the properties.
Great. Of course, I will recuse myself from this conversation as I also serve on the Brown Riverfront Foundation. So I first can get a motion.
Lloyd moves.
Bob Davis.
Trustee Lloyd and Trustee Davis.
Trustee Davis. Great. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Guy?
Aye.
Trustee Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Hott?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
I'll abstain. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The second item is a petition for administrative hearing. This will be submitted by an employee involving an incident where the employee was intoxicated. The board has 3 options with this petition, and this is for a hearing. The 3 options are for the board to hear the case, for the board to have an administrative law judge hear the case, and that's assigned as a division in Tallahassee. And the third option is for having one board member hear the case. And this one really comes down to a legal issue regarding the Americans with Disabilities Act and alcoholism. So it is actually there are no disputes this time. So it's strictly a legal question.
I think the best way to handle this, since there are 3 options, is first to entertain any questions or suggestions from any of the board members. My personal preference would probably be the third choice. We have several board members with legal experience. comments from any other board members about which of the three options and where we should
I would
go?
like to, Bob Davis, I would like to suggest Mr. Lloyd, who is an attorney.
Have a motion to consider option 3 with Mr. Trustee Lloyd as the hearing officer, if that's the right title?
Correct.
No, I'm talking about.
There,
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Trustee Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Hoff?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye, if I'm allowed to vote, if that doesn't present any conflict.
You are. You are.
Aye.
And that's a great point. We probably should have asked Trustee Lloyd if he was willing.
Trustee Lloyd accepts with glee.
Well, thank you so much. You certainly have the expertise for that, and we wish you well. Move on to facilities.
Now, okay. This is the annual CIP that we present every year, and it is unchanged from the prior year because unfortunately our number one priority did not get funded this year, so we will be, going around again to hopefully get secure that funding for the following year. So with that, I would need a motion to.
Have a motion?
So moved. Hoff.
Second.
Lloyd
Green.
seconds.
Second. Any questions or discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Dye?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Hoff?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, and that's.
And just Tom, one last comment on that. When it comes around to it next year, please let the board know how we can help move the needle on that.
On that, yes. We will hopefully have some other strategies to try to get that one over the finish line.
Excellent. With that, we'll move on to finance.
All right. Going into the May 31st financial report. Looking at the operational revenue, we brought in $27.9 million in tuition fees, and I should let the board know that we're at 101% of collection of those fees, so that's good. We're at $46.5 million in state revenue, 3.2 in other revenues, 10.2 with the approval of all the board transfers, which brings us to $87.9 million, which is 93% of the operational budget to date. Our expenses are at, and this is as of May 31st, $54.2 million, 84% of the budget, 23.5 in current expenses, 1.4 in capital outlay, which brings us to a total of $79.2 million in total obligations for operational budget of $94.5. Keeping in mind that that is $76.9 million, which is 81% of the budget, dealing only with actual expenditure. The next slide is our carryover funds, which shows the AFR balances as of 6/30/19. And it actually shows, this is constant in our report, shows the AFR balance, the state revenue reserve, the board designated reserve, unallocated year-end encumbrances, rollover, and brings us to a net projected fund balance of this period for $23.2 million.
The next slide provides us a comparison of actual revenues received to date compared to the prior year. And as you can see, 93% of revenue was collected this year at this time, and last year at this time was 94%. This 3-year analysis provides you a projection of where we are with tuition and fees on a 3-year basis, and we're at $27.9 million. The budget was projected at a 2% decrease from last year, so we're at the total amount collected, budgeted, should I say. Operational expenses comparison for last year and this year. Personnel expenses are 84% this year. Last year it was at 85%. Year-to-date, current expenses were at 85% this year and 77% last year, and 76% for capital expenditures this year and 85% last year. The next slide provides you the major capital projects. If we can go to the next slide, Glenn. The beginning fund balance in our capital projects fund, which is Fund 7, is 31.7. Cash appropriations as the reporting period is 8.8. Our total expended encumbered to date is 11.8. And fund balance in this report, and this is as of 5/30/1, is $28.7 million, 8.4 committed and 20.2 uncommitted. This slide provides you the projects that Chris and Steve Silic are working on, and facility services and planning. To date, 6 projects are completed and 9 are still uncompleted today. That gives me completion of the financial report for the period ending 5/30. This is presented to the board every board period, ACHs, transfers, checks, over $50,000, and it's always presented to the board for information only.
I think before you go to the recommendations, any questions? Great report. Always an important topic, especially in this environment. Any questions on the for your information reports? Okay, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the uncollectible accounts receivable that we present to the board every year end. This year, we're at $1 million of write-off on a $35.5 million total of awards given to students, and that represents 3.03% of the total awards. Keep in mind, even after the board makes a recommendation to write these costs off, the college still does collections for students who come back because students aren't allowed to register or get a transcript or any type of information until they clear their bill. And the reason why I bring that up, if you look at page 365, we've collected $73,634 this year alone for accounts that were written off in prior years. So I'm moving forward to make a recommendation that the District Board of Trustees approve the write-off of uncollectible receivables in the amount of $1,476,100.52.
A motion?
I shall make that move.
For approval.
A motion and a second there. Did you get that?
Bob and Gary.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Do a roll call vote then. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Huh?
Aye.
Holden?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Goodbye.
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is the funding for the Flagler Nursing Program. They're going to do some construction, and I think Amy area got awarded $895,000 for a legislative project for that area. And what the college is recommending is to ask that we move $3.6 million from our unallocated, board designated unallocated funds to actually initiating this project.
Gary Levi makes a motion for approval.
I'll second it.
Second. Any questions or discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Aye.
Oldham?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next item on the agenda is to move $3.8 million to Fund 7 for capital projects. As the board knows, we usually get PICO funds, and we didn't get any PICO funds last year nor this year for RENREM or maintenance and repairs. So we're proposing to do this because we have identified projects that we need to continue to work on, as well as complete, because they're in the process of doing projects as we speak. So it's recommended that the board move the 3.8 from Fund 1 to Fund 7.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Holdness, second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Aye.
Oldham?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is our deferred maintenance and personnel funding proposal. And this proposal is brought to the board every year where we move CIF funds, which is capital improvement funds, to the projects that are actually being worked on in facilities planning. These funds are used for renovation and remodeling. We're doing 1.5 going to that, 400 to maintenance and repairs, and 373 for salaries and benefits for the ongoing deferred maintenance projects that are being sponsored in that area. We're making a recommendation that the board allow us to move those funds from the reserve funds and CIF to those projects.
Have a motion?
Lloyd moves.
Second?
Levi, second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call vote then. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Trustee Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Oldham?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is the annual budget for 2020-2021. I'm going to skip to page 377 so I can do the highlights. The highlights in the budget is no increase to tuition and fees for academic year 2020-2021. This represents our 10th year to support the government's initiative for affordability. I think that's awesome for the college. I'm going to also toot the horn for the college because there's a 2% decrease in tuition and fees that we did back in 2015. So not only did we hold the tuition and fees constant, but Dr. Lombardo allowed us to, and the board allowed us to decrease fees by 2%, and we are still holding steady on that as well. Our enrollment forecast for tuition and fee is budgeted with a 3% decrease for 2020-2021. The budget also includes, as I spoke about previously, $895,000 for Flagler Palm Coast Nursing Program. And it also includes 1.02 in operational performance fees for 2+2 student success and workforce support. In addition to that, there's a $919,674 carry forward fund balance that we're using to balance the budget, which is what we were cut by the state because our fund balances were in excess of the 10%. There's an implementing bill also that has allowed us to fund the WDSC broadcasting TV station, and we're going to submit paperwork to secure those funds as well. Our access fees have increased to $1.12 to $1.16, only a 4% difference, and our remaining other fees are remaining constant. Assisting learning, access fees, other web, graduation, spousal loan, and international applications. Our fees are listed in pages 379, 380, 381, 382 in your budget packet. Every year I provide the board with a projected revenue, expenditures, and estimated fund balance, and this will provide you an analysis of what we have collected to date in revenue, and what we project to collect expected expenses as of 6/30, and what we intend to roll over as carry forward funds. And right now there's a projection of $3.3 million. Provide you a comparison of state appropriations from FY 1920 to what we have this year going forward to 2021, well, next year we're going forward. And we were awarded $51,567,701 last year, and we are $51,976,601 this year. As Tom stated, we have a balanced budget at $84.6 million with revenue and $84.6 million of expenses, and they are delineated on slide 385 of your board packet. The capital outlay budget brings forward a $41.6 million estimated fund balance as of July 1, 2020. We have some projects that are listed that we're going to do, and they are listed on page 386. And we're going to have a projected fund balance as of June 30th of $35.6. The next slide only provides, it's similar to the prior slide, but it breaks it out by funding. And it shows projects in more detail. This slide provides you a delineation of your C and D schedule that you received in your packet. It just breaks it out by fund. Fund 1, Fund 2, Fund 3, 5, and 7. Lets you know what the expenditures, revenue is, and the transfers that are being conducted in each one of the fund accounts. The last slide is what we have to present to the board and ask for approval for is transfers from one fund account to the next, and we're projecting to transfer $425,000 from grant matching from Fund 1 to Fund 2, $450 from Fund 1 Fund 2 to WDSC operating funding, $249,552 from Fund 3 to Fund 5, and that takes care of our athletic scholarships. Marketing, hospitality, and tuition reimbursement from Fund 3 to Fund 1. Debt service and SunTrust loans is the last two expenditures, $326,853. We're taking a part of it from Fund 3 to Fund 8, and the remainder is coming from Fund 7 to Fund 8. And this takes care of our debt services on the mortgage income.
Great presentation, a lot of information, an important budget for next year. So first, let's entertain a motion in a second, and then we'll open it up for any questions or discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget. Bob Davis.
Can I get a second?
Second. Haas.
Second. Any questions or discussion? Okay. I just want to say great job. I know when I come over, I ask a lot of questions, not surprising. And you're always prepared and ready to answer it. I appreciate that. And you can tell that the entire team put a lot of time into this, and the board appreciates it. So, hearing no other questions or discussion, I'll do a roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Guy?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Levi?
Aye.
Motion passed. And we will move on to academic affairs.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. We have approval for the lab fee recommendations for the board's consideration today. You can see a summary in your board packet. We have made a few changes. It's pretty typical in terms of the number of changes for this year. 2 deletions, 4 decreases, 18 increases, 6 new lab fees for the course.
I have a motion.
So moved.
A second, please.
Trustee Holden, second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? I just have one question about, it's amazing that a lot of them decreased and et cetera, but there was a couple where there was a pretty large increase. Can you just tell us what was driving that? I think it was the operating room and the surgical technology.
Yes, some of these are tied very directly to the price of the kits that we purchase for the students, and we have it's audited, and we have all the backup information. That we can't change them unless the materials we're purchasing goes up in price. And we have seen a lot of fluctuation in some things like medical supplies and also materials used in welding and things like that. That's gone up quite a bit in the last few years.
Appreciate that. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, do a roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Guy?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Levi?
Aye.
Motion passed. So back to Tom for the constituent heads.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much. And I have had submissions that I will read on behalf of the constituent heads. From Dr. Eller from Administrative Council. The Administrative Council met on June 3rd. They reviewed proposed changes to the bylaws submitted by the Bylaws Review Committee, chaired by Dr. Carla Moore. Changes included specifying the duties of the council officers and allowing for voting to take place through email. These changes were reviewed and approved unanimously. The Nomination Committee, chaired by Hector Valley, announced the officers for 2020-21. Following the recent election, continuing in their roles are Dr. Eller as chairperson, Dr. Moore for vice chairperson, Dr. Gibson, secretary, and Alicia Alexander for treasurer. Council proposed putting together an ad hoc fundraising committee to think about annual membership dues and to examine the amount of scholarships awarded. The council also talked about the plans to come back to campus and discussed ideas for recognizing employees who went above and beyond during the pandemic. Thank you, Dr. Ellert. Next is from Samantha Tatum for Career Employees Association. She writes, "Good afternoon. This will be my last report as CEA President. Thank you all for your kindness and support you have given throughout the year. The CEA is still looking for 2 exceptional members that would like to be more involved with CEA. The positions that are becoming available are the CEA President and the CEA Vice President. These roles will help make more connections with various staff members, faculty, students, and community members. They will have the honor to represent the CEA members at various events. Thank you, and have a wonderful summer." From Dr. Towle for Faculty Senate. The Faculty Senate has shared the results of its transition survey from face-to-face classes to strictly online courses with some interested parties this month, as well as the faculty itself. They have also discussed plans for reopening and welcome feedback from faculty on those plans. Thank you. And then from Kristen Getka for Professional Council Report. She writes, "The Professional Council is looking for more professionals to run for officer positions. They plan on holding the elections within the next 2 weeks and are excited to get the new officers and academic year off to a great start." And that concludes the constituent head report.
Great, thank you. Just a few quick comments from me, and then we'll go around that table and let the trustees talk. First, I would say that these are indeed challenging times, first from the pandemic and then perhaps some even more important issues that the nation is facing. But on the pandemic front, from my perspective, and I believe the board's, it's so important that institutions plan, think about all the contingencies and all the issues and all the questions related to safety and health and financial impacts. And I just want to say thanks. It's very obvious that that's what the leadership team here is doing. You're thinking through things, you're looking at contingencies, and you're watching out for all your constituents, and I appreciate that. I think it's second point I wanted to make is, it was one slide in Iceland's presentation, but it's an amazing slide when you think about the fact the institution has not raised tuition in 10 years, and in fact reduced it 1 year. I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to find any or many. I'm almost going to put my money on any institution that have been able to do that. And what makes it even more impressive, I think, is when you consider that it was done without sacrificing quality. And I mean, I know from the board's perspective, there's a lot of business owners, there's a lot of people that are involved in a lot of different industries. And if you just think of the cost increases over the past 10 years in medical care, that's back to the point we were just talking about, and utilities and whatever it might be. So that's an amazing statistic. It was one that was done well, not just haphazardly to survive, if you will, but to continue to have good results. And for that, I am thankful. And affordability is a key issue for our institution, and your team has done a great job at continuing to address that. Lastly, and certainly most importantly, Tom, your moment of silence was important. I'm glad you did that. When you think of Daytona State College as an institution, we've always said it's an institution that serves the community. And if you think of this community, it's a very diverse community. And when I walk around the college, when I look at the materials, when I hear the presentations, I like to think that Daytona State College is inclusive of everyone and supportive of everyone. And education to me has always been a great equalizer. And I think the institution plays a great role in making sure that that's affordable and available to everybody in this community. And I know we will continue to do that. I think that's an important topic for us always to remember in the back of our mind is the role the institution can play in issues like that. So with that, thanks for all you do. And I will first turn to the Vice Chair, Trustee Holness. Any comments you'd like to make?
Well, you and I were thinking the same way. I was meant to say something about that we hadn't had an increase in 10 years, which is amazing. And we need to thank our wonderful staff with the budget, a proposal that in these times they've been able to reduce the budget, and then still we've been able to continue to offer our quality programs to our students. I meant to mention earlier when I looked at the pre-qualified contractors, it was identified to me that in that listing we had 6 minority and women-owned firms. And that just shows that we're continuing to do our outreach to diversify the employers that work for the college. And then on the Tech Hire Grant, we're always looking for ways to provide paid internships. And I don't know if you saw that in that particular grant, over a 3-year period, we will be able to provide a substantial amount of paid internships to our students. And Tom, I thank you for always volunteering, stepping up, and representing the college to be involved in the statewide equity committee. It's so important that our voice is there to share the things that we also are doing here. It's always a pleasure to be with everyone. I wish everyone a happy summer. Take care.
Thank you. Trustee Davis?
Well, there are not enough words to thank President Tom Labasso and his entire crew for how they're pulling us through this pandemic. There are no words. The hard work. We think it's very simple. You put up a mask, you put up a shield. He had to shop, he had to bargain, he had to do so much. My hat's off. And again, Isolate, you are marvelous. How you put together a budget and how it just jives and your hard work, your crew's hard work. We did it in 10 minutes, and it took you days, weeks, hours, and a year. Thank you so much, Isolina.
Thank you.
Trustee Doherty?
Well, I can really say is ditto to what everyone else said. Everybody's just required to be so flexible these days, and it's like no one's put up a fight, and everybody's, done what needs to be done to keep the teachers, the staff, everyone healthy, and the students and safe. And for that, thank you all. Have a great summer.
Trustee Dye?
Well, I think to be brief, I certainly echoed everybody else's comments. Bob Lloyd heard me say this morning, but when things are easy and the water is calm, you don't oftentimes maybe even recognize and appreciate the strength of the people that you have around you and in leadership. And clearly, with the challenges, we've raised that appreciation level to a much higher level. I sit here and I think of this word. I am truly a fan in the best sense of the word of Daytona State College and its leadership and staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Freckleton?
Thank you again to all the hardworking individuals at the college, and to you, Tom. You're the orchestrator, the band leader, and the baton swinger, and you managed to get everything done with your staff who think of so much of you. And to ICE, a wonderful job on the budget. Most people would pull their hair out and say, I quit. But you have found how to do the things that we need to do to keep this institution rolling. And really appreciate what you're doing. And to all my colleagues, have a wonderful summer. And we'll see you in August. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Trustee Hopp?
Yes. Again, accolades go to Isolene for that annual budget. It's heartwarming to know that we're going to be able to move on in this very unusual time and continue to be a successful entity in this community. And that budget, it's not just the content, it's the clear, comprehensive presentation that she provided us. So it's not some mystery that we don't understand. I really appreciate that. I also appreciated what the chair said about the culture of the college. It is an amazing culture. And I think being there and being present helps to really energize us about our mission at the college. And based on that, I just want to say I'm looking very forward to our next in-person board meeting, because I really miss being there at our beloved college for these important meetings. So, my friends, I look forward to that. Thank you.
You, Trustee Lloyd?
Okay. First thing I would like to suggest is, on behalf of Gary Lubai, next meeting, we do it in reverse order. So Gary goes first, and then I get to go second. But with all that
the
said,
letter L is the new Evans, or Y and Z, right?
that's it. So, and the other thing is, I would second Trustee Haas' comment about getting back together. It is going to be great to be gathered around the table and to interact face-to-face, because I think there's some kind of conspiracy. The lawn service seems to show up exactly when we're taking a vote. So, the mute is definitely helpful, but that's become a challenge. I also wanted to say, I talked to Tom a little bit about what we're experiencing in this country with regard to diversity and inclusion, and our police activity and issues of racism. And we can say it, we can see it, we're having to deal with it, and it's. I think that we're going to look back at 2020 and say, not only did we endure a pandemic of epic proportions in 2020, but we were also part of the civil rights movement of 2020. Because I think we're seeing something that is historic, and we're not through yet. Like the pandemic, this is going to take a lot of time and thought and prayer and a lot of anguish before we're through. But I think when I look out at what's happening in the country, and then I look at what's happening in Daytona Beach and Volusia and Flagler counties, and I look at what the role that Daytona State College plays in that, particularly as it relates to the Law Enforcement Academy, I think two things. First of all, we train probably, I would say, 90% of the law enforcement officers that are in service in the sheriff's and police departments in Volusia County. And we have such an important role in teaching not just how to handle a firearm, but how to communicate with people. And, never has that been more important. And I hope that we, as trustees, get a chance to hear from our academy and our leadership in the academy to talk about what they're doing and what they're emphasizing regarding communications. And, I read Malcolm Gladwell's recent book, Talking to Strangers, and it's very enlightening. About how we think we hear, but we don't, and how we misread body language, and how we can't sometimes see beyond the color of someone's skin. And so I think it's important for us to recognize that importance at Daytona State College, and I hope we can put that on the program for a future meeting. And then this has already been said, but Isolene, doing a budget right now is kind of like navigating a ship when you're in a deep fog and you can't see the horizon, and you're trying to pick the landing spot for your ship. And you've brought us in the ability to budget and prepare for what is uncharted territory is simply amazing. And I think about that. We talked about it this morning. Randy mentioned during our chamber meeting, and the fact that you can prepare and budget for something that is so unprecedented and impossible to see through is just simply amazing. So, Isolene, you are going to be missed, and we certainly appreciate the heroic efforts that you have undertaken on behalf of Daytona State College during this time. And with that, I will conclude my remarks and leave the finishing to Trustee Lubai.
Well, Bob, I want you to know I held up a piece of paper right when you said that, where I had written on my next time I need to reverse the order. So, everybody can try to remind me next time if I forget. And I think that's a great idea on the academy. Maybe we could have that as one of our workshops. So, and Gary, look at it this way, it means you get to get the last word. So,
yeah, my wife sure doesn't let me get that, so I guess it's good to get it here. So, yeah, Bob, I was actually kind of thinking the same thing about changing my name to Zubai, and just putting a C at my name. But, no, several of you have made these comments and all that. I want to talk a little bit about, Bob, those are some great comments around the diversity and inclusion, and we lead from the front at Daytona State, I believe, on this. And one trustee in particular I want to give a lot of credit to, because she represents us so well on a national level. And if you don't know that, go to an Association of Community College Trustee annual meeting, and you'll find out that Betty Holness is one of the key representatives particularly around, Betty, correct me if I'm wrong, it's around the diversity topic.
You're right.
And, I'm so proud to have you as a teammate, and watching you lead from the front on that topic on a national basis is, not only says a lot about Daytona State, but also says a lot about what we are trying to do. And we've got a lot more work to go do, obviously, in this area. But and then also you start to think about what you were just talking about, with our law enforcement, academy, and the amount of people we train, and that includes the chief of police for the Daytona Police Force, Chief Capri. And and you look at the way he's engaged with the community and so forth. And I think that is representative of the impacts that we do have as a college. The other thing too, I know a lot of people have said this, but I would be remiss as a banker and a guy that looks at financial statements all the time to not say something about ICE and her leadership. And ICE, by the way, I gotta say, you don't look anywhere close old enough to retire, so I'm trying to figure that one out. But in any case, you and your leadership and with your team, a lot to be proud of. So thank you, ICE. And what's that?
I'm coming to work for your bank after I leave here.
Okay. There you go. You just gave me an idea here. So be careful what you ask for. But now and then the other thing too, just want to say, we have Flagler Health Plus getting ready to move, or has started their move into Flagler County, along with the ongoing expansion of Advent Health here. And you start to take a look at that, the impact of the nursing program and what we're going to do at Building 100 and the improvements there is extremely significant. And also when you combine that with some of the things that are also developing with the University of North Florida looking to come into Palm Coast, the complementary factor that will come into play between Daytona State and that university is a huge opportunity. And I want to compliment Tom Labasso for the way he has proactively reached out to those folks there about how we can complement each other and not basically duplicate efforts, but rather complement each other. So this is really exciting what we're doing with Building 100. And finally, as everyone has said here, I wish everybody a great summer, safe summer, and hopefully real soon we're going to start to see those numbers start to decline again, and we're going to be back on track by this fall. So thank you.
Great. Well, board members, thank you so much. I appreciate the commitment of time and working through all the telephonic challenges. And again, Tom and team, great job. And I will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Happy summer.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.